I'm just going live because I'm trying something a little bit different this summer. I don't have a whole lot of time to work, so I thought I would do some live videos while I was drawing and kind of share that with you guys, my whole process. And if you want to join up, then that's great, and I'll just chat because I like to chat while I draw. I just like to chat in general, so that's great. So if you're here, welcome aboard. Hello. I am, if you don't know me, my name is Elizabeth, and I design a lot of, I do pattern design, I do surface design for products, I sell on Etsy. I kind of specialize in children's road rugs, so like those little play rugs with cars that kids will drive the cars on the rug and they'll have like little scenes. And I do road rugs with real locations. So I do like, I've done Chicago and London and Paris and like a lot of different, Indiana, because I'm in Indiana. So I do a lot of different types of road rugs. Right now I'm working on Amsterdam because I don't know, I got a feeling like I wanted to do something Dutch. My husband is part Dutch, and my son's teacher is Dutch, and we have some Dutch friends, so it just feels like there was a lot of Dutch stuff going on. So I thought, well, let's do the Netherlands, let's do Amsterdam this time. So I've completed a couple different things. And right now I'm getting ready to draw another landmark. I haven't figured out what that is yet, so I'm gonna kind of look up Amsterdam and kind of see what some of the different landmarks are. Of course I'm gonna have a windmill. Of course I'm probably gonna have tulips. I'm gonna have probably a little shoe, a little wooden shoe. So I'm kind of thinking in that vein as well. I also want to show you, I currently, I made this kind of fun pattern. I don't know if you can see it very well, just kind of, and this was for the Spoonflower Palm Springs pattern competition, and it is still up on there if you want to go vote. I actually have the one with the teal background that's up, although I kind of like the pink better. I probably should have done the pink. And there are a lot of really good designs on there. I'm not sure that mine is, this one is not like my favorite design I've ever done, but it was fun. And it was for Palm Springs, which if you don't know a lot about Palm Springs, it kind of has a retro vibe to it, like a mid-century vibe, and it's tropical, kind of tropical because it's, you know, Palm Springs, California. But it also has this history of people wearing caftans in Palm Springs, so I wanted to kind of be a little quirky, a little kitschy with it, and so I made a caftan design here. And it was fun. It was just, it wasn't anything that I was really, it's similar to what I usually do, but it was super fun to try. And I like those Spoonflower challenges because they are, they just take you out of your box a little bit. The last one that I did too, I thought was super fun, and I'll share that with you guys too. This is a dinosaur toile. So like toile fabric or toile designs, if you don't know what they are, they're also called toile de joie. And they are these patterns that are kind of pastoral, or they have a landscape to them. They're usually monochromatic. They're done in one color. And they have people a lot of times. They have sometimes buildings, sometimes animals. But this toile challenge was to do something a little out of the box with it, do something a little different. And so I made a dinosaur toile. A lot of toiles are not, mine is pretty symmetrical here. I've got it set up so that I've got kind of these little vignettes kind of perfectly patterned in it. But most toiles, many toiles are kind of more asymmetrical. They're kind of set up so that they have this kind of random patterning throughout them. So that's something I did a little different. And then of course I did the subject matter different because it is dinosaurs, my son's favorite thing. So I feel like I live in dinosaurs a lot because he's obsessed with dinosaurs. He can tell you every single type of dinosaur, and he's wonderful at that. So so I just kind of, that's always on my brain, it seems like, and that's where I went with the dinosaurs. So anyway, getting back to Amsterdam and the Netherlands, and let me make sure, hold on just a second. There we go, okay. Getting back to Amsterdam, and the Netherlands. I kind of want to look for some different landmarks that I can make for this rug. I want to show you some of the ones that I've done. This is the Nemo Science Museum. I just thought it looked so cool. Oh, here, let me hold it up so you can see it. It's just this really neat museum. It's right by the water. And as my son said, it looks like a shark fin, which is really cool. And then I did the Anne Frank House, which is a set of 4 buildings that is a museum there. So these will be eventually vectorized. I'm going to take them into Adobe Illustrator and then vectorize them myself, tweak any little things I need to do. And then in Illustrator, I set up my actual layout for my rugs. And I do that because I'm printing on rugs. Rugs are massive. And so you want to make sure that you have a vector pattern so that it doesn't digitize and turn out all pixelated when you print it out. I'm having some green tea this morning, which is really great. So anyway, let me get back to drawing here. Hopefully you guys can see my iPad. I may kind of tip this down a little bit. I'm experimenting with kind of how I'm doing this. I don't know if I can tip it down any more than that, but hopefully you can see. I think today I was looking at some different, so sometimes I just Google the place. Other times I will Google like the place with the word landmarks afterwards, and that's a good way to get some different options. So I'll just go ahead and do that, Amsterdam landmarks, and see what I get. There's the Rembrandt House Museum, that looks really cool. The Van Gogh Museum, the Rijks Museum, I hope that's how you pronounce it. So let's go with the Rembrandt House because I really like the colors in that. It's just a really neat looking building to me. So I'm going to show you how I go ahead and start these things out. So I'm just going to start, I have this palette or canvas, not palette, canvas that I made. It's called Main Repeat because it's my, it's what I use for my repeat patterns. But I use it a lot for these two because it's just a good resolution. And so right now it's 3600 by 3600 and it's sRGB color mode. So I'm just going to choose that and go ahead and get in here. And I am working off a couple different color palettes. I've got, I wanted to kind of use some more oranges. So I had a couple color palettes already. I have kind of like my main color bank that I work with, which is up here. And then I chose this one here that has a lot of these really pretty oranges in it that I thought would really work for something that is from the Netherlands. So let's see what we've got here. I'm gonna go ahead and start sketching. And when you sketch, or this is how I do things, I have these brushes that I kind of created a favorite brush folder, and then I have them just ready to go, and I can use them, you know, just right when I get in and I know that I've got all my favorite brushes. And then if I discover one that I really like, I can throw it in there and it's, you know, easy to access. So as I'm looking, I just kind of do really loose sketches. And even of late, I've been trying to be even looser with my sketches because I'm trying to distinguish myself even more from people using AI because I am highly against generative AI for a lot of reasons, but one of them being that I consider it to be pretty much theft in my mind because it is scraping images from other artists and then passing them off as new work, just tweaking them here and there and then reconfiguring them and spitting them back out. But I also just think that I did not start doing this to not draw. The whole reason I am doing this is because I enjoy drawing. I don't want to farm that out, and I don't want to encourage the farming out of that because I worry that we're just going to dumb ourselves down. We're just going to become these kind of dull, uninteresting people who don't really do much and just kind of spit out as much as we can, as fast as we can, without really thinking about even why we're doing it, you know? So if I can kind of slow down a little bit, and you know, maybe I won't make, maybe I'm missing like a money making opportunity, but that's okay with me. Like, I'm not gonna try to push out a bunch of stuff just because it can make me more money. And I'm not like the best artist in the world, but I take pride in the fact that I'm doing it myself. This is my work. And, you know, it may not be the best, but it is mine. And that is something that cannot be taken, although it can be scraped by AI. But in the end, I know that I'm doing it myself. And that's also kind of why I wanted to draw with you guys. And I'm going to tip this down just a little bit more so you can see what I'm doing. I don't know if I can, hopefully that's kind of a little bit better. There we go. But that's also why I kind of wanted to draw with you guys, because I want people to see my process. I want to see that, you know, a lot of the rugs that I made, because I was vectorizing them, sometimes I would actually go into Illustrator and kind of build what I was drawing with shapes. And that still is, you know, very labor intensive. I was doing it all myself. It wasn't like I was just, you know, prompting or anything like that. But in the end, because they are shape-based, they end up looking like they very well could have been something that was generated with AI. So I'm kind of trying to stay more in the hand-drawn, erase this because I don't actually, yeah, in the hand-drawn area or arena, so that it definitely takes on more of that look to it. And it's clear that it does not come from a prompt. It comes from me, which hopefully is better. But either way, it's mine, and that's important. So anyway, I have had some really good news lately, and I have had a really kind of crazy summer so far. Like I said, I have a 6-year-old son, and he's been having a very fun summer. We took him to the Children's Museum in Indianapolis, which if you ever get to Indy, it's amazing. I was blown away, and I went there when I was a little kid, but it has gotten so much better even. And it's just so cool. They have this huge sauropod that's on the outside of the building, and it is kind of peeking into the building. It's got this huge front glass area to the building, and the sauropod is like reaching up and kind of like he looks like he's climbing into the building. So it's so cool. And so that just immediately captured his imagination. He was blown away by that. And then they have an amazing dinosaur exhibit on the inside. And when I went, I thought, oh, this is going to be, you know, the one that's on the outside is clearly fake. It's clearly just, you know, made of fiberglass or something like that. It's still really cool, but it's not a real fossil or a dinosaur or anything like that. Well, obviously it wouldn't be a real dinosaur, but you catch my drift. So, so when I went inside, I thought, oh, well, you know, that'll be a similar kind of thing when they're showing their dinosaur exhibit. I was so wrong. They have real research that is going on at this museum, at this children's museum. There are real fossils. A huge percentage of the displays that they had were actually made from real fossils. And then on top of that, they had actual paleontologists that work at the Children's Museum, and they're doing work kind of refined. They're like cleaning the fossils and getting them kind of refined and ready for the exhibits right there in front of the kids, and the kids can kind of walk up and talk to them and get a sense. You know, they really ask them any kinds of questions. And not only that, but apparently every year they do an excursion. I cannot remember where it is. It's like either Montana or Wyoming. I can't remember. And they go and they take kids and they do a fossil dig, which is like, I mean, right now, if my son could go, he would be over the moon, but they don't take kids until they're a little bit older. So We'll see if it's still his thing then, and if it is, we'll do whatever we can to try to make it happen, because that's just so cool. I just really hope that he can do that. I would really love that for him, if, as long as he's still interested. But he loves dinosaurs. He loves like anything animal related. So we actually went to the library yesterday, and we saw this animal show, and he was the only kid who knew that the thing that looked like a snake that the guy was holding up was not a snake. It was what they call a legless lizard. So he yelled that out, and the guy was like, "What? How do you know that?" And so he invited him up to hold it, which was fun for him. This guy was crazy, though, who was doing this show. He had a tarantula, and he was walking around, and he said, "Well, I'm not going to put it in your hand, but I will put it in your hair. I will put it on your head." So it's amazing the number of kids that volunteered. Thank God my son didn't, because I'm over here like anxiety. But I mean, I don't totally dislike tarantulas. I'm not super fearful of them, but I don't want them in his hair or in my hair. And a lot of kids, though, were really cool with it, and they were getting this spider put in their hair. And it was kind of funny because there's mostly like little kids, but there were a couple teenagers there, and you know how teenagers are. They were like, "I'm so cool, I'm not worried about this at all." And he went over to one of them and put the tarantula in his hair, and you could tell like his inner monologue was not lining up with what he was trying to do on the outside, because you could tell he was a little spooked by it, but he was trying to keep his cool. And he did, but the funny thing was his hair was kind of curly, and I think that spider was like, "Oh, this is a good place to make a nest." So the spider started spinning like web, and when they pulled the spider out of this kid's hair, it was like um, this big line of webbing like came out of the spider. It was a little creepy. But anyway, that was the crazy thing we did yesterday, and it was super fun. But I was a little freaked out. I'm just, as I'm drawing, I'm realizing this thing's a lot taller than I originally thought. That's the nice thing about using your iPad and not drawing on paper. You can always erase, but I could just, kind of shrink that down and give myself a little bit more room. Whereas if I was running off the side of a paper, I guess I could always tape another paper on there. But I do work on paper too, but just there's so many times I just need to get things done quickly, and this goes a lot faster. And that's mostly just because like I said, with a 6-year-old, I need to just maximize the time that I have. So, he is at a little thing right now, a little camp, and so I have about 3 hours, or a little bit less, because I'm gonna have to drive to pick him up and drive to drop him off. So 3 hours, give or take, to kind of get a little bit of this stuff done. So that's why I'm doing a live video too, because I'm probably not gonna have a lot of time to do not live videos to do any kind of editing or putting together of things. So yeah. But anyway, aside from that, I also had a crazy thing happen to me a couple nights ago. So I wake up in the middle of the night, and I'm kind of itching my arm, and I feel this thing that's kind of flipping back and forth on my arm, and I'm like, "Oh, that's unusual." So I turn on the light, I use my phone, turn on my flashlight, and look, and there is a tick in my arm, which I've never been bitten by a tick before. I'm gonna say, I'm really proud of how I handled it. I did not freak out, which I usually freak out at a lot of these things. I did not freak out. I was pretty well composed. I just kind of Googled, what do you do if there's a tick in your arm? And went in, and they say, remove the tick. They say basically don't test it, because apparently, I didn't know this, but apparently there's a lot of false testing, and it can just lead to either being too confident about the situation, or not, or getting a false negative, and then, or yeah, thinking that you have it, and then I don't know. Anyway, they just basically said, don't, take it to get tested, but then contact your healthcare professional. And so I did, and they got me on an antibiotic, but I didn't get the antibiotic until yesterday, which was just like, it was still within the window of time. And we were running around doing all these things yesterday, and I've got a really strong stomach, and I just figured, we had some pretzels in the car. I always keep snacks just in case my son gets hungry. So we needed to run all these errands, and I thought, oh, well, you know what? I'm gonna just take this now since we just picked it up, and I'll just take it with some pretzels and it'll be fine. And it was not fine. So I barely made it back home in time before I got sick. I did not get sick, thankfully, but if there was any more time, I would have. And I just had some yogurt when I got home and I was fine. But yeah, if you ever find yourself in that situation and you have to take the antibiotics because you've been bitten by a tick and you've had the craziest situation, right? Make sure you take it with, I would say, milk, because I was hurting. But yeah, so that was crazy. I would not recommend. 0 out of 10 in terms of getting bitten by a tick. Not a good thing. And of course, as I'm like Googling, like as I'm looking up what to do, I see, this woman who had all of her, poor woman, had all of her limbs amputated because she had this Rocky Mountain fever or something like that you can also get from ticks. And so, that's not nightmare fuel right before you go back to bed, right? But again, I was really proud of the way I handled it. I just went back to bed. I was like, nothing I can do about it now. And just made sure I called my healthcare provider the next day and got on what I needed. So that's been crazy. But then also I had some good news. I applied for this, it's really, I guess it's a grant, but it's through our local networking place that we have here, which is really cool. It's a networking studio. And they had these grants that were affiliated with our state's business organization. And they were these growth grants that basically, they don't give you money, but they give you these free classes, and then they help to promote your business locally. So I'm always up for learning, and I thought that'd be really cool. And you get a free membership to the networking studio. So I thought, well, that's cool. If I ever need to use that, they have these meeting spaces you can use in there, and they have other things. And so I applied a couple months ago thinking, maybe not. I might get it, might not. But I got it. So that's cool. So I'll be doing some classes with that. And I'm trying to think what else has happened this summer. Oh. We've been really busy with like play dates and stuff like that, going to a lot of parks. Oh, also, so we've been walking down to the farmers market every weekend pretty much. And we have a great farmers market in our town. It is really awesome. There are all kinds of things. And we have this amazing bakery that's right downtown as well, that they have a booth, but they also just sell things out of their shop because they're right there downtown where the farmers market is. And they have like, it's like, it rivals a French bakery. It's got these macarons that they make, and these chocolate croissants, and then they have just like stuff that is kind of a mix of the traditional patisserie and then like other, kind of down home stuff too. They have like monkey bread that they make, but it's like cardamom monkey bread, and oh my gosh, it's so good. It's just, it's ridiculous. So we like to go down there, and my son, so frou-frou, but I've gotten him hooked on macarons, and they have all these different flavors. So when we get a chance, we will get a macaron. But anyway, we were walking down there the other day though, and I twisted my ankle again, which I do a lot. I twisted my ankle the day before I gave birth, which was super fun. Again, don't recommend that. I did that. I was working as an art teacher and at a high school, and I was walking from one room to the other because I did digital design in one room where it's like a computer lab, and then the other room was like just a traditional art room. And when I was walking in there, I stepped on a doorstop, twisted my ankle, and fell on my stomach. But luckily, I was okay. I was really freaking out when it happened because I was worried, you know. It was the day before I was supposed to give birth, though. I was working up until the day before I was giving birth, like many women do. And, yeah, it was not good. But everything worked out in the end. But anyway, I was walking down to the farmer's market, though, a couple weekends ago, and fell really hard, twisted my ankle again, and was just really demoralized because I've been trying to walk more. I just started running. I was like, yay, I'm gonna get back into shape this summer. This will be great. And then that happened again. But I was kind of like, you know, what am I gonna do? Because this just keeps happening, and every time I try to get into shape, I am falling, and it's not a good thing. It's not good for my ankle. So we have this really awesome community center. It's not very expensive, and it is, they have like the most amazing pool. They have a lap area, and it is never full. I mean, there's just never people there. It amazes me how few people go to this place. Or at least, I mean, there's a lot of people that go to the gym part, but in terms of the pool, every time I go in there, there's barely anybody in there, unless they're having like an aerobic, like a swim aerobics class or something like that. But I like to swim. I've never swam laps before, but I thought, well, maybe I can start swimming laps. So knowing me though, I have to have music when I work out. So I looked online to see if they have swimming headphones, and sure enough, they do. So I got swimming headphones, and they have like a little place where the kids can play while you're swimming or while you're doing your workout. And so I made an appointment, thought I'm gonna give this a try, got in with my new swimming headphones, and let me tell you, I'm a convert. It was amazing. It's so cool. And the volume of the headphones kind of amplifies when you get into the water. So it was so cool because it kind of created a rhythm. I was doing the breaststroke, and I was just like up, down, and doing the rhythm. And it kept me going and really motivated. And I was swimming for like an hour and 15 minutes with just like doing the breaststroke, which is a pretty intense, workout. And then for the last 15 minutes, I just kind of floated on my back and forth in the lap lane, and looked up, and this place has these beautiful wooden ceilings that have like beams in them. And so I just kind of followed the beam, and it was kind of magical because I'm listening to my music, and it just feels like you're floating down this stream and listening to that. Okay, so here is what I've done so far. This is just my outline sketch. So now what I'm gonna do is go in and put some color, and then start to put in some of these details, and some of them will be with black. I do a black outline, and then some of them will be just put in. I'm going to show you what I did here. This is kind of the same thing. So I would go in with kind of a watercolory background color, and then kind of go in and add some of these other details with an overlay in like either a color block or a color burn, so that I get a little bit of extra detail in there. And again, I'm keeping these kind of sketchy, kind of loose. I don't want it to be too perfect, so I like the little fun details, like the little scallops and things like that. But I'm not trying to go crazy. But anyway, back to this. I'm gonna start doing that. But where I was going with the swimming too was I really was going pretty hard with the swimming because of the fact that I had those headphones, and they were really making it enjoyable, and I could kind of keep a pace. But when I got done, I was so sore and it was almost immediate. I was just like, oh my gosh, what did I do to myself? And my arms were just incredibly sore for that day. Wait. Okay, let me start this over again. When you're doing like these watercolor brushes, you can't really, unless you want it to be like a couple different tones, you can't really start it over. You kind of have to do the whole thing all at once. So I'm kind of going in here and just laying it in. It's still going to be a little splotchy, which is actually what I want, but I don't want it to be so splotchy that it looks like these big marks, you know. So I'm going to do that again because I want it to be a little darker. Now the thing with when you are putting in watercolor, the thing with that is that it's currently on a white background, so it's showing up in a certain way. But if you are going to be sending these files out of your iPad or sharing them as anything that does not have a white background attached, if you want it to be plain, it's going to show up more like this, which, you know, that could be fine, but it's also transparent. So what I do is I go in and I do an automatic selection, and I will select, oops, I guess I'd select this, and then create a new layer, and I will fill that with a white. So I'll go here with a white and just kind of fill that layer in, and then just pull that underneath. And so there I have that color that's brighter and it's opaque now. I don't have to worry about, oh, looks like I need to plug this in. I don't have to worry about that watercolor being transparent when I take it out of my, when I take it out of Procreate. So anyway, I've been talking a lot. I'm going to keep working on this. It was fun visiting with you guys today. It was fun chatting with you. So thanks for joining me on this. And I'm just going to go, but I will post an image of this later and hopefully an image of my whole road rug. If you want to check out my road rugs and other things, you can go to quitecleverdesign.com, or my Etsy shop is Quite Clever. And yeah, thanks so much today, and thanks for being along with me, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye. Oh, except I don't know how to turn this off. I'm still learning.